Hi everyone, and welcome to today's Fantasy Clash video, where we'll be looking at the Orc faction and the cards that make up their deck. As usual, we'll start with the core choices. Remember that of the 20 core cards, you will start the game with 10 of them, any 10. There are 5 unique cards, each with 4 copies each. We'll start off with the Orcs, who are a very strong attacking core choice. 9 is a high attack score for a core card, and their large size score of 14 means there's a good chance they will be rolling an extra d6, especially against other core cards. They are fragile though in defense, so you need to be careful where you commit them. The Zeppelin is next, and it's not really going to help in a fight, but its ability to scout is very useful. This means that you can use its range score of 3 to reveal a card in range and still face down. As this skill is used in the movement phase, it can allow you to check cards and reveal them before committing to an attack. Don't fly them too close to enemy lines though, as it's easily shot down. Next up are the Gremlins. They are the trick cards of the Orc deck. On the surface they look terrible, but the Trapper skill is their party piece. If a card attacks the Gremlins in close combat and they have not been revealed yet, then they will be trapped and removed from play, as will the Gremlin card. The sacrifice though will nearly always favour you, especially if you catch an elite card like Knights. Just be careful to keep them hidden or they won't be of any use to you. The Goblin Archers are the ranged option at the core level for the Orcs. The stats look pretty terrible, so why even bother taking them? Well, that would be Arrow Storm. What the Goblins lack for in quality, they make up for in quantity. This allows you to use their size advantage just like in close combat, except with ranged attacks. Coupled with their high size score, this means the Goblins will be rolling more dice to make up for their poor attack score. Goblins are similar to their Archer brothers in that they look poor initially, but the Goblin mob gives them a bonus dice if they outnumber their opponents. So normally, having double or more size score lets you roll an extra d6 in close combat. The Goblins, however, will roll 2d6 extra instead if they outnumber. This allows them to overwhelm smaller opponents. Just keep them away from anything big. Now the veteran choices for Orcs are same as other armies in that there are 4 types, each with 3 cards. You can take 5 in any combination to start the battle. Shamans are first up, and they have the magic ability, which gives them access to the Orc magic deck. Being able to cast spells can be a huge advantage and can easily turn the tide of the game. We'll look at the Orc spell deck later. The more Shamans in play, the better chance you have of casting your spells. The Orc Catapult is your artillery piece for the Orc Army. Its range of 3 lets you bombard the enemy from afar. As with most war machines, positioning is critical as they are fragile to attack, so you don't want them on the front lines, but still close enough to cause damage. Just remember, when a war machine is revealed, it cannot move afterwards. Boar Riders are next, and they are a very violent attack-minded card. With an attack of 11 and the charge ability giving them an extra dice in attack, they are very dangerous on offense against most cards. They struggle though in defense, so be very careful how you commit them. Trolls are okay in attack, but they're hard to get rid of, so they're a really good defensive choice. They have a good size and an okay defense score, but they also have the regenerate, which acts like a saving throw. So, anytime they will be removed from the battle, a roll of 5+ keeps them in the fight. They also have a natural magical resistance, as seen with a magic score of 5, which can be a massive help surviving incoming magic attacks. Now onto the rare elite level cards. Only 3 different types, each with only 2 cards. You can pick any 3 to start the battle. The Wyvern is a big beast of a card with high attack, defense and size. Where it shines though is its flyability, which makes it very mobile around the battlefield compared to other cards in the Orc deck. Ogres, on the other hand, are very similar. They have a slightly higher attack, but they don't have the flyability of the Wyvern, so you sacrifice mobility for more attack power when you take the Ogres. Heavies, on the other hand, are a more defensive-minded unit. They're still okay in attack, as 14 is nothing to be sniffed at, but they excel at staying alive with a huge defense score of 17 and the Iron Skin ability, which debuffs any attack against them that are not magic. Your opponents are going to have to commit some serious resource to eliminating them. As usual, all armies have 2 heroes and 3 champions, with you being able to pick one of each to start the fight. The first hero choice for the Orcs is the Goblin King. His attack and defense are reasonable for a hero level, but not the best. However, his bonus goblins give any goblin card a big buff. This can lead to goblins and goblin archers rolling a lot of dice, transforming them from weeds to very dangerous cards, especially with their size advantage. So, if you choose the Goblin King, make sure to stack up on goblin cards to get the full benefit. Kolek, on the other hand, is a combat monster, and unlike many other heroes, has a high size score, so you don't have to worry about him getting overwhelmed. As an added bonus, he buffs any ogre cards you have in play as well, making them an even better elite choice when Kolek is selected as your hero. For the 3 champion choices, the first one is Grunt Bonebreaker. Grunt loves magic items, which allows you to give him an extra magic item in addition to the one you are normally allowed to put in your army. This gives him a lot of flexibility in how you play him, depending on which item you give him. Silas Backstabber, like most goblins, looks terrible stat-wise. You might think why waste a champion slot on him, but the Backstabber ability gives clever generals a serious weapon. If a close combat attack or defense happens with Silas behind or to the side of the card, his attack and defense score double, turning him into a monster. Just make sure to keep him in the right place and not in front of your opponent. Darkstaff is the final champion choice. He's a great shaman, so he has access to the magic deck. His improved magic score over a normal shaman makes it easier for him to cast spells, and he can dominate the battlefield with all his magic. Just make sure to keep him safe and out of combat. And as usual, there is also a Titan card, the Colossus, and a Legend card, Hordak Greenskin. Both cards are extremely powerful and game-changing, but you cannot start with them, so you need to make sure you get as many reinforcement cards as possible to increase the chances of them joining the battle. Let's have a look at the magic items available to the Orc faction. First one is the Bonebreaker Gauntlets. The card with the gauntlets gains +2 on all close combat rolls, so that's attack or defense. The Shaman Staff can only be given to a card with a magic special ability, so that's Shamans or Dark Staff. That card then gains +1 on all magic rolls, which can be the difference between casting a spell successfully or not. The Dark Sun banner not only gives you +2 on close combat rolls, but any cards in contact with your card gains +1 on their combat rolls, so it kind of buffs the cards around you as well. The Burning Moon Axe, the card with the axe gains +1d6 in all close combat attack rolls, so it makes it much better in attack. And finally, the Colossus Armor. The card with armor may roll +1d6 in defense or make the attacker roll 1d6 less in attack. Similar thing, either way you choose, it's going to make it a lot harder for anybody to defeat the card with the Colossus Armor. Now moving on to the magic spells available to the orcs. First one, easiest to cast at 18, is Orc Blast. Play an opponent's card, roll 1d6. If the score beats the card's magic score, it's removed from play. So it's just a straight magic score beat required. So if the card's got a magic score, it's probably not going to be much use, but it can be used to take out cards with a much lower magic score. Most cards have a magic score of 0 though, so very useful. Net Wounds, playing your own card. The card with Net Wounds rolls an extra d6 next time it makes a defense roll, so that makes it harder to beat. Muscle Growth, playing your own card. The card then doubles its attack and defense score for the following 2 turns, so that can make some really, really high numbers. After the second turn is completed though, it is removed from play and put into your opponent's conquered pile as the card disintegrates under the pressure of the Muscle Growth. Rage you can play on your own card as well. The card will now roll 3d6 for attack rolls, but it will roll 1d6 less in defense rolls, so you can sacrifice defense for a lot more attack. And the final spell, at 24, it's very difficult to cast, but if you do, it's a good one. Unite the Tribes. You're granted 5d6 that can be used at any time to reroll any dice. Once the dice is used, it is discarded. When the last dice has been used, the spell is over. So basically it gives you a reroll pool of 5 dice, which you can use at any time you like. And that finishes up our look at the Orc Army. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully catch you again soon.